traditional NLP model or AI model. So these pre-trained models, so then you allow the business to do one of two things: either talk to it, prompt it the same way you would prompt a chat GPT to get an answer, or organizations can do what's called fine tuning, which is essentially taking this model that knows everything and telling it to learn a subset of new documents and images that are specific to your business. And so it becomes more of an expert, or it weights the information that looks more like your business's information higher than the rest of its knowledge base, which you can't really get rid of or affect because it comes out of the box. So essentially, businesses have a couple different ways of interacting with these foundation models. But if you end up using a foundation model, if you find the right way to use it, um, usually you're looking at something like 70% reduction in the time, the effort, the cost to deploy AI in your business. And the even more recent trend now is technology companies have started to make it even more accessible to be able to deploy these AI models and starting to bring the cost of entry down even more. So we have low code and no code platforms where someone like me who's not technical, I come from a business background, I can go and I can train and deploy a model just by clicking and picking my features and running training runs. Then you have, for example, automated ML, which takes that even a step further, and it automates things like cleaning the data. It automates things like, evaluating the model itself. Is it working? Is it not working on my behalf? And then finally, you have, and this is I would say, the most in focus now, like today, as of this month, for businesses, is this idea of agentic AI or agentic workflows. So this is taking multiple models, chaining them together, giving each one of them, often a foundation model, a task to complete a whole workflow. So normally I need a dev team of 20 people. I have 5 developers. I have, I don't know, 10 QA. I have 5 business analysts, so on and so forth. That's 15 people. Anyways, with agentic AI, I can train 3 junior developers. I can train 2 junior BAs. I can train, 2 junior QAs. These are automated agents, and I can add them to my workflow, and they can work with the humans to complete the easy tasks. So now I need maybe 5 people to do the work of 10, but those 5 people are specialized and can focus on only the problem solving and the difficult technical tasks that need to be done. Okay, so making things easier and easier. What started to happen, and this is really accelerating in 2025 as well, is now generative AI foundation models are coming online in every system that a business uses. So if you're bringing on a CRM system for your customer data, like Salesforce, you can now have the Einstein platform where you can bring in GPT and foundation models, and you can basically, with a couple clicks, put it into your workflow. SAP has Joule. Even tools like GitHub, where developers are, storing and working off their code, have copilots embedded. And of course, if you use anything Microsoft, they're rolling out a copilot for everything, which is their, you know, GPT, Chat GPT, embedded in even your computer in 2025. So basically, this is this is a technology that's going to become something everybody interacts with. Okay. Any questions before I talk about less about the technology and more about what the businesses think about this technology and how do they think about using it? What do they need to do to use it successfully? Okay, no question. So this is all very exciting, but كل ما باحكي مع client باروح باعمل presentation لbusiness عادةً بيكونوا عندهم 100 سؤال. And usually they're a bit scared. They don't know, what are the skills I need for my business? Do I have the right people on my team to be able to use this technology? So they don't know what changes they need to make to their process to be able to use it. What about security? What about privacy? How do I make sure I don't get sued? How do I make sure my data doesn't end up in ChatGPT? That's another big one. And then also, what infrastructure do I need? What kind of investments do I need to make in my data platform? All of that. What kind of tools do I need to use it? There's a lot of information, and usually executives are a bit confused as to where to start. At the same time, they all know they need it. Um, they, there's no one that you talk to, at least in Canada and the US, the top, that doesn't believe that they're going to need to use AI to stay competitive. And see here in 2024, a lot of companies were already rolling out and scaling AI solutions. In 2025, that's projected to increase. There's going to be less experimenting and playing around. There's going to be more changing the way how businesses work. Now, so what do they need to do in order to use this technology? The answer is usually pretty simple in theory, but difficult to roll out. Number one is when you look at the businesses, the way that it operates, new skills are needed. You need data scientists, you need governance experts to be added to your team. You need machine learning operations, which is kind of like your DevOps sustainment practices, but for AI. Um, you do need new processes. So if you're going to use an agentic workflow, you need to rethink how you do work, and you need governance structures. If you're going to build your own AI solutions, or you're going to use solutions that come in a system that comes out of the box, you still need a way to monitor. You still need a way to think, right? Is it working? Is it not working? Is there any risk? Is there too much cost? So those structures need to be put in place. That's more on the operating model side. On the data and infrastructure side, you know, at this point, at least in Canada and the US, a lot of companies have good foundational data platforms. They can collect their data in one place. They can use it for regular analytics and reporting, and so they could start to use it for AI. And that's one of the big prerequisites. And usually, you want to be able to move your data or host your data on cloud, because a lot of the AI solutions that are on the market today, or the AI tools, they're cloud native. Um, and anyways, would be very expensive to run it on your own servers. So moving to cloud, having a data platform that's capable is step one. Step two, thinking about the data architecture in a way that, and I put here specifically, aligns with budget and need. If you gave me $1 billion, I could build all the AI that a business needs, but it's going to be very expensive to run. GPT 4.0 by itself can cost millions of dollars if you use it in just 3 or 4 different business processes. So you need to think about, how do you design a pattern? How do you design a set of solutions that fits the budget, and also gives you the cheapest model for the job where you need it? And along that is, okay, what are the tools that I need for my team uh, to build, to monitor, and then to sustain these solutions? So these are the high level points of kind of what businesses need to think about from a call it from a leadership level. The operating model, is the data ready, and then do I have the right infrastructure? Do I have the right tools? At the team level, there's also a new way of working that's coming out. It's, a team that uses AI needs to think a little differently than a team that uses traditional technology. Number one is this idea of, experimenting and failing as a way of achieving the outcome. If you're going to develop AI, there's almost actually no way for you not to experiment. If you don't experiment, you cannot build the solution. It has to be done iteratively. You have to bring data, train a model, test it, see what happens, and then do the whole cycle over and over again. You can't build linear. So that's a bit of a stretch for some teams that are used to traditional software development, where you build piece by piece by piece, and then you get to your outcome. The second, and a probably more important piece, is being very, very focused on the business metrics. What tends to happen when teams start to experiment with interesting technologies is they build really interesting tools. But at the end of the day, if the tool doesn't deliver on the KPI, if the experiments keep failing every cycle, you have to kill the project. And this is a hard thing to do in a lot of organizations that are used to finishing their projects, to say, I'm going to do 20% of the project and then I'm going to stop right now because I don't think it's going to achieve the KPI. But you have to do it with AI. You need you need to experiment until you know whether it's going to work or not. And if it's going to work, scale it as quickly as possible. And if it's not going to work, you kill it right there and move on to something else. And the last piece is thinking about adoption in a very deliberate way. So when you talk about a foundation model, when you talk about something like a chat GPT, you literally have to talk to the solution. So if you don't engage the people that are going to be talking to the solution, if you don't do design thinking, enterprise service design, um, from A to Z, when they get the bot, they're not going to want to use it. And if they don't talk to it, it doesn't provide any value. It's not like a traditional optimization model that can run in the background and tweak parameters. They need to talk to it in order to use it in order for the business to get any return. So now there's even more of a need for very, very technical mathematics type people, data scientists, to start to talk to designers that generally would never interact with these technical folks and find a common language in these teams. So designers, data scientists, business people all have to come together at the beginning of a project with the users, with the executives, and form, the vision of what it will do. And almost every business that I talk to doesn't think about this well enough, and they end up paying for it later. And they build their solutions, they start to run them, and then they realize this is too expensive, or they realize, oh no, my model doesn't work anymore, or my data is not clean anymore. And the problem is they're not thinking long term on day one. If you think about a life of a AI asset, usually it needs to live for about 5 years in your business for you to make your money back on the investment. That long-term ROI, everything after you stop building and you start to use it, is all about thinking about sustainment and operations from day one. So it comes back to, you need to set up the right governance. You need a policy on how to use it. You need process and you need people to enforce that policy. And you need to combine it with the right tooling. There's automated tooling that can turn sustainment from, a team of something that needs 5 to 10 people for each model that you have in your business, to, with automated tooling, you can have 5 to 10 people that run 100 models. It's a very big difference. And the difference is, did you think about it up front? Did you put the tools in place up front? Did you invest in, it's called machine learning operations, as you were building the solution? And did you build it with operations in mind? Seems simple. Almost nobody does it right the first time. Which is great for consulting companies because we get paid to fix it after they've built it, and they pay us a lot of money to get it running again. Okay, راح أوقف هلأ. Any questions؟ مضلش إلا الcase
عمر
studies.
عمر
Y-
عنده question.
Yes,
اتفضل عمر.
Yeah.
please. Hi, Nizar. Thank you for the talk. بعرفش أنا أسأل السؤال بالعربي ولا بالإنجليزي. What do you prefer?
زي ما بدك، بس
تمام.
most likely رح أرد عليك بالإنجليزي.
Okay, then I'll say it in English. So you mentioned AI agents. Can you give examples and just elaborate more in whether it's something that you have to build, like an AI that you have to build, or there are existing tools that you can use right now?
It's both.
Okay.
So there's existing tools, but you have to do some building. So the difference is, you don't have to build the models. So
Hmm.
I work a lot on Microsoft, so I'll use two examples that they have. They have a tool called Copilot Studio, which is for
Hmm.
business people, where I can pick my model. I can pick what I want my agent to do. I can give it instructions. I can give it the information it should look at, and then I click a button and I've deployed that agent. And then I can pick
Okay.
another agent and give it a different topic, and I can deploy it somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
They also have tools for developers. So Microsoft has this thing called AutoGen, which is which allows you to do the same thing, but allows you to build kind of code in between the agents to chain them. So for example, maybe I want agent number one to use GPT-4 to figure out ايش بده عمر. يعني
Mm.
سألني سؤال شو السؤال?
Yeah.
What is the task even?
Okay.
بعدين once it's done that, I want the output to go into a flow and trigger one of, I don't know, 5 different agents that do different things. And then those agents might have another output that goes somewhere else. So now I can that in between is code. The
Mm-hmm.
AI is out of the box. You know, no longer have to build it, you just give it instructions. هلأ
Okay.
that's the basics. مرات الشركة بدها إشي specific وما فيك تعمله من out of the box. مثلًا I need to detect fraud in
Mm-hmm.
my credit card transactions. It's a case study later, but MasterCard is doing this. I can't just click a couple buttons. I have to now take an AI model, train it, build the workflow with my specific approvals, build the governance. So and هلا you need data scientists, the model people, because they need to do actual tweaking behind the hood.
To train,
Uh,
yeah.
to do
You need.
training,
Oh, okay.
curate the data sets,
Mm.
build the define the KPIs, what's how to measure accuracy, define the data KPIs,
Mm.
what the data needs to look like for you to say it's the right data is coming into the model. And it's for simple tasks, you can usually use the out of the box tools. The
Mm-hmm.
more customized to your business, the more you need now to configure or even build your own. There are businesses that built their own foundation models
Mm-hmm.
to do very specific things. Like I was working with a company that does they create diesel out of plants, diesel fuel out of plants, and
Mm-hmm.
they built their own foundation model for their manufacturing, for their factories and processing plants because they were different enough than anything that's on the market.
Okay. Yeah, and in simpler terms, what I'm getting to is, can the AI agent be an employee for you? Like a robot working, doing your tasks, if you train it
It
right?
can be it can be a very stupid employee.
Okay, yeah.
You
Like
still need
RAI,
smart
yeah.
people. بالضبط بس it's so much easier هلا for me to make like I have a AI tool that I use at work
Hmm.
that writes my emails.
Your
Just tell
emails,
it,
okay. Yeah.
yes. So I need to send an email to update a bunch of people on a project.
Yeah.
I tell it, this is the email I need. I show it a million emails that I've written before, and it'll write my email. It'll write outlines for PowerPoint presentations that my team can go build. All these little things that normally you might have an assistant to do, or you might bring
Hmm.
somebody junior to do.
Okay.
AI is really good at that. AI is not going to sell work. AI is not going to build a model from scratch. Like the more advanced, complex problem solving, it's not. If you want to build an AI solution to do that,
Mm.
it's going to cost you millions of dollars. So it's not as easy.
Mm-hmm. Great. Thanks, Niza.
Mhm. Okay.
يعطيك العافية. يعطيكم العافية. بدي أشكر بالتكنو بارك على هاي المبادرة، بدي أشكر أخونا نزار على المعلومات المهمة اللي عماله بيقدمها. إحنا شركة عمالنا بنشتغل بأدوات الذكاء الاصطناعي من فترة وبنصمم وما إلى ذلك. نوعا ما يعني الإشي اللي بدي أحكي فيه مش باللي تفضل فيه أخونا نزار، مش بالبزنس وكيف نوظفه بالبزنس. إحنا عندنا ورقة علمية لخوارزمية جديدة أو معمارية جديدة بالجنراتيف اي اي. عملناها واخذنا تقييمات من المختصين من دكاترة عليها، وكان تقييم عالي ووصفوها بانها الورقة القوية، ورقة قوية وراح تحل مشاكل الخوارزمية السابقة بالجنراتيف اي اي. هلا احنا بنبحث عن فرصة إن احنا نوصل الورقة لحد مثل أخونا نزار، إذا في بالإمكانية من خلال شركة IBM يشوفوا كم هاي الورقة مهمة وكم ممكن تساهم بتحسين الجنريتيف AI، لأن احنا يعني حسب تدريبنا واعتقادنا ظهر معنا أنها حلت مشاكل كثير بالخوارزميات السابقة. فأنا إذا بتسمح لي بدي أحط رابط الوصف والورقة من خلال الموقع هذا بتقدر تصلها، وبيانات التواصل
طيب
و...
ابعت لي اياها، بس بدي اياك تترجمها للانجليزي لانه بدي ابعتها
مترجم.
للتشيف. اوكي، للتشيف داتا ساينتست تبعي.
مهم.
ممكن يقراها ويقول لك يعني هو بيقرا كتير اوراق عن الجنريتيف اي اي والريسيرش.
مهم.
فممكن يعطيك فيدباك، او لو عجبته الفكرة يعني ممكن اعمل لك كونكشن معه دايركتلي تحكي معه.
طيب أنا يعني شكرا لك، بعثت لك إياها على الدردشة موقع الورقة، ومن خلال الموقع البالسوفت دوت اي اي تقدر تصل الورقة وهي مترجمة باللغة الإنجليزية وجاهزة للقراءة.
ممتاز.
شكرا شكرا.
عفوا.
يا مساء الخير للجميع. شكرا نزار. Thank you for your valuable presentation. Really it is very good presentation, and all topics, I think it's the leading topics nowadays related to agentic. My question is follow Omar, I think question. When you use agentic, I think AI, agentic is somehow interact with the environment and choose some tools from the environment. But we know the nature of AI is non-deterministic. How agent can determine the best tool? Sometimes they deviate and go to something called bias. So how you determine this part, or can you clarify how in your case agent and or sub-agents you used in your case can catch the best tool, even if the inputs is varies or depends on the context or the environment. Take for
Mm,
example, Arabic people, sometimes Chinese people, and so on.
okay, the answer is you remove variability لأنه التools they're not, because generative AI is non-deterministic, which for folks that don't know what that means, it means it's random essentially. مش زي traditional AI تبنيه from the ground up, you know what you're gonna get, yes or no on these things. It's random. So you need to remove variability. So when you give an agent a task, instead of saying, مثلا, BA agent, write me a user story. أو اعمل لي user story. Whatever it is in Spanish. I'm so sure. But you give it a very specific set of instructions and very specific examples and very specific examples of the outputs as well. So this is the difference between enterprise AI or kind of consumer AI, ChatGPT. So I'll say, hey, BA agent, you are a BA agent that only speaks English أو بس تحكي عربي. لما يسألوك إنه تكتب user story لازم تطلع على التمبلت هاي وتكتب اليوزر ستوري هيك. الاوتبوت تبعك المفروض يكون شكله زي هيك بهذا الفورمات. هدول الانبوتس اللي محتاجهم. لو ما اعطوك كل الانبوتس لازم تسالهم انه يعطوك الانبوتس اللي ما حطوه بالريكوست. فهيك you have a random model that's now pretty deterministic. You give it the box to play it, and you do that for every agent. كمان شيء, agentic AI is a fun word, buzzword, but it's not the answer for everything. A lot of times you can just build one model and it's good enough. Just had the agentic AI صار كتير marketing حواليه هلا, لأنه the idea of multiple models doing your work for you, it's easy to sell. بس مرات كتير احنا لما نبني solution مثلا زي ما انتي قلتي لازم تعمل 100 أكتر من إشي واحد. We don't do agentic. We fine tune one model on all the information, and then we build around it traditional AI to pick the topic. مثلا بنينا model mining company. It looks through all their information from the last 50 years. And it answers questions about where they've drilled before, yada, yada, yada. بس أول ما يسألوها, there's a traditional chatbot that tries to figure out what they're asking. Or if you need if you need the random model, the generative AI, or if you can just answer the question with NLP, deterministic models. But yeah, لو بدك تستخدم generative AI with agentic solutions, you have to give every agent a very specific task, give it templates, or make sure the agent knows if it doesn't have what it needs to do its job, it cannot go outside its box. Does that answer your question?
Yeah. Okay, Nizar, another question related to using closed source like ChatGPT-4 or any other types of closed source. Why we all the time focus on a closed source? What's the main advantages? And there is a lot of costs using some closed source, even though there is another types which is open source like Lalama. Why we didn't use such large language models in our solutions?
We use both. So usually what we'll do is we'll build a solution, and depending on the type of questions and the confidence of the model, it'll use the cheaper open source models until it hits a question that requires the more expensive closed source. So Llama 3 answers most of the questions. For specific topics that we know Llama 3 doesn't perform as well, GPT 4.0 might answer them. Or we might even do tiers. So GPT 3.5, بعدين GPT 4, بعدين GPT 4.0 to minimize the cost. But so two reasons why companies actually prefer the closed source models. Well, closed source اللي هو GPT basically is just better. يعني GPT 4.0 outperforms the other models. It can do more tasks and it can do them more efficiently. So when you have a complex problem to solve or a complex question, usually you use it as the last tier. Command closed source systems like packaged solutions, they're more expensive, but they're less risky for a business. لما بدك تبني open source custom, you have to manage everything. And you take on the risk because you use the open source tool and you trained it. If I buy GPT for Enterprise or I buy Salesforce Einstein and it gives me information that's infringing on copyright laws, Salesforce gets sued, not my company. So I pay for that. So that's kind of the answer. That's why companies like the closed source. But at the same time, we do build with open source models on the back end to reduce the cost.
Okay, thank you so much, Nizar. Thank you.
No problem. Okay. Back to the case studies. So I pulled together a bunch of case studies that show different ways, the most common ways that I've seen companies use AI today. There's about 100 other examples that we can go to. So this is just to kind of get thinking about it. The first way is using انتوا فيكم تسمعوني وتشوفوا screen.
Yes.
Okay. The first way is actually using AI for marketing. So these are companies that use AI, generative AI, traditional AI, to create better experiences, usually online for their customers. Richer text, more personalized information, even offering a personalized shopping experience in some case. So a good example of this is Washington Post. They actually started to use generative AI to help their editors generate more headlines, to summarize information for customers, and they're rolling out a chatbot which allows customers to ask questions and get information from the different Washington Post articles and pieces that have been written. The second one, Amazon. Amazon's always been a big user of AI. They use it a lot in their logistics and supply chain. They use optimization models in their processing plants. They use forecasting models and recommendation models to figure out what are you going to buy before you click the button, so they can put product closer to you as a customer. They know, for example, um, when أنا عايش في snow كتير anytime around November or even October, they need to stock up on, shovels. They need to stock up on salt. They need to stock up on hats, and the people are going to buy them before people click. So, but now they're using it to create more personalized shopping experiences too. So, summarize reviews on their website, allow you to chat with Amazon to pick the product you want, and even personalize product descriptions so you as a customer are more likely to buy it. The last one here, CarMax, is interesting because they used it in two ways on their website. They use it to aggregate information for me as an individual customer. So I want to buy a car, I have specific requirements. It'll start to pull the information I'm looking for about the different cars that I'm looking at. And they also use it to create more content. So to find and display more images, to summarize reviews, to fill in the details of information about different vehicles that they have. So again, this is just a few examples. Almost every company is looking at this, so there'll be more names probably on this list. Every week you come back to it, but these are different ways that companies are building more rich experiences for customers that are buying their products or interacting with their brand. The other way that a lot of companies use generative AI and have been using traditional AIs, this is one of the top use cases, is customer service. So when I say customer service, I mean providing direct to customer service, i.e., I have a problem, I text H&M or I message H&M on their website, and it'll try to solve my problem before it goes to a person. And then also within the contact center, once it does go to a person, to help the agent to better answer questions. This is easy for businesses, or easy to buy for businesses, because it takes cost out of your customer service and it brings revenue in because your customers are generally happier with your brand. So a few examples. Delta Airlines is the most recent one to add AI chatbots to their um, to their contact center. So their agents, the chatbots and the foundation models are actually pulling the right information and the right documents to help their agents solve problems for customers when they call in. Morgan Stanley and actually quite a few financial institutions now are using generative AI as a agent for their financial advisors to summarize meeting notes, aggregate them, bring information so the financial advisors can provide better customer service to the bank's clients. And I mentioned H&M. So they now use a customer-facing chatbot to answer questions before they go to the contact center. And they've added in kind of AI for marketing to the same bot. So now it can help with online shopping and provide recommendations. Again, لو حدا بده يسأل شيء, just stop me. Otherwise, I won't shut up. I promise. Okay. Now, the last very common way to use it, and it's how we use it at IBM as well, is using it for complete process automation. So this is about taking cost out of the back office by automating processes that are easy but time consuming. So at IBM, we use this for HR. We have over 80 full HR workflows that have been, I'll call it almost fully automated with AI. And we'll use it to do things like provide HR support to our employees. What that means is, for example, if I need to approve a vacation for somebody, or I need to submit a request for my own vacation, or process a hiring, or process a promotion. These are normally things that take a lot of time in a business. You have to talk to people. It could take a week to get all the information back and figure out the salary and process a promotion, for example. Or I have to submit a request, wait for somebody to review it. It comes back. and now my vacation is approved. All this is done with an AI agent at IBM. So I probably in a minute can request and approve vacation. I can in a couple hours process a promotion. Huge difference for us. Another company that's using it for process automation is MasterCard. Fraud detection and fraudulent transaction, you know, flagging is extremely time intensive. It's not that hard to do. It's just there's a lot of transactions, there's a lot of alerts, and somebody normally has to review every single one of them. So MasterCard and a lot of other banks now, and financial institutions are using machine learning and generative AI to detect and flag fraud, and now even to review fraudulent alerts. And the last one, this is another technology company, Atlassian. Uh, they make Jira and Confluence productivity tools. They're now embedding AI productivity assistants, Gen AI productivity assistants to their goal is help workers in general save at least 20 hours per month, doing things like reading documentation, summarizing, pulling it from one place, copying it to another, all out of the box in their tools. This list could probably be at least 20 companies that have used it today. It'll probably be 100 companies by end of next year. But again, just to give you a flavor of what's going on, how different brands are using it, um, how businesses are thinking about it. These are the most common case studies that I've seen. That's it. Thank you for your time. Any last questions? في واحد بالchat. Is it possible for a group of students to build an AI solution over 6 months with very limited resources? I joined late and heard you mention that it takes millions to make one, but not quite sure if this was the full picture. Yes, it is possible. It takes millions for a big company to make one because there's a lot of process, there's a lot of compliance, there's a lot of people that you have to talk. It's mostly getting the company to form around it. You could probably build an AI solution in less than 6 months. If you spend time thinking about what the simplest solution to solve your problem is, you could build it very quickly. If it wasn't for how complex big companies are, sometimes, my data scientist could probably build a solution in a weekend, or 2 people in a weekend, but you have to go through approvals, you have to do a lot of things in corporate, for big companies that make it slower and more expensive. But yeah, just if you spend time upfront thinking about the problem, deconstructing it, really thinking about where you need AI and where you could just do something else, and then think about the cheapest, simplest AI tool that will solve the problem, you could definitely build it in 6 months. And almost for free because you can use open source. You can use instead of something like Microsoft AutoGen, you can use LangChain. It's available to everybody. Open source. You could use Llama 3 instead of GPT. And you could build your own front end and back end and host it on your own server or something cheap like Paperspace. So yeah. Oh, إذا بدك ابعت لي message. I can maybe help guide you a bit. Um, maybe get it from 6 months to 4 months. Okay. أنا هيك خلصت. ما عادش عندي information.
أنا إذا بتسمحي لي بس أنا يعطيك العافية نزار، وشكرا كتير
الله يعافيك.
لهالمحاضرة الرائعة. وإن شاء الله يعني كمان أنا بحب أشكر نزار لأنه معانا. أنا اسمي علاء طبعا من التكنو بارك. بحب أشكر نزار معانا كمنتور في التك سيركل، وهو البرنامج اللي عم نشتغله الآن للمنتورشيب، والفيدباك is very positive. وإحنا دائما we rely on people like you نزار عشان ننقل المعرفة دائما knowledge transfer. we're proud of you of course. وإن شاء الله بتتقدم في الكارير وتكون معنا في جلسات تانية. بس بحب أذكر الجميع اللي بحب يكون معنا، هذا اللقاء راح يكون بشكل شهري. إذا بتتابعوا الصفحة عنا والإيميل، عشان إن شاء الله next month في عنا كمان سبيكر من الدياسبورا، وإن شاء الله هذا الإيفنت يكون دائما مستمر. شكرا لكم، وأنا بعرف إنه الوقت متأخر كمان بفلسطين، فشكرا لحضوركم معنا. وإن شاء الله تكونوا استفدتوا من هاي الورشة، وبنطلع نشوفكم في ورشات تانية. شكرا كتير يا نزار، وتصبح على خير جميعا. ونزار يوم موفق لك.
شكرا، تصبحوا على خير.
أهلا أهلا، يعطيكم العافية.